after the killing of Mahsa Amini. How is the government handling the situation, and what is the government response to that?
اولا خانم امینی کشته نشده بلکه فوت کرده.
I would like to note that Mrs. Mahsa Amini was not killed. He passed away. Second, I would like to say that we have seen some atmosphere that is created by some Western media with regard to the developments in Iran. This atmosphere that is created by the Western media is baseless and fallacious, and we are seeing that the rights of the Iranian nation are violated by these very Western power who are claimant to the human rights. These Western regime, they have been responsible for the killing of tens of Iranian daughters. If you take into consideration the 8-year imposed war against Iran by Saddam Hussein, and these Western powers, they gave chemical weapons to the Saddam regime that was waged against tens of thousands of Iranian Kurds, Sunni Kurds, and also Iraqi Kurds, Iraqi Sunni population, and many of them were martyred by the Saddam Hussein regimes, and many of these girls were martyred by the Saddam Hussein. But who gave the weapons to the Saddam Hussein regime? These very same Western powers. But do you see any reflection of these news in the Western media? No, you don't see any reflection of such news. Who gave the Saddam Hussein regime these weapons, and who died, who were killed in the Western, in these countries? And on the other hand, we see the other developments in other countries, like Afghanistan. You see that the bombs that are given, that the bombs that are dropped on the Afghan population, it is in some occasions creating weddings into mourning. It creates girls, it creates innocent women and children. These bombs are made by the US, by the Western powers, and they are used by them. They were used by these powers in Afghanistan. In other development, you see that on a daily basis we have girls and women in Palestine. They are killed at the hands of the soldiers of the Zionist regime. Or you see that there are Yemeni daughters that during the past years they have been killed mercilessly, and as a result of the imposed famine on these people in Yemen, many of them are on the verge of dying. But do you see any reflection of these news in the Western? No. There is no reflection of such news in the Western, but the Western powers have no empathy towards these people. They do not talk about the people of Afghanistan, Palestine, or Yemen. They do not denounce or condemn these actions. Who are the real killers of these people in Yemen, in Afghanistan, in Palestine? These Western powers, these Europeans, that they do not condemn themselves, that because if they want to condemn these actions, they have to condemn themselves. So on the other hand, they are also responsible for unilateral coercive measures against the people of Iran. After the Trump pulled out of the nuclear deal and imposed maximum pressure on the Iranian people, the European powers, they followed the mad man that was Trump, as a result of which we see that many of the pharmaceuticals and drugs that were needed for some diseased people, diseased girls, innocent people in Iran, it was denied to them. So many of them died because of lack of supply of the basic and crucial pharmaceuticals to our people. So do you see any reflection of such news in the Western media? You don't see any reflection of these news, but the European powers are responsible, the US are responsible, and you do not see any empathy on the part of Western powers in relation to these incidents, not empathy towards their families, and they do not condemn the people who are really responsible for such efforts, because they are themselves responsible for these killings and these actions.